PFL MMA Round 2 continues on Thursday, June 17th, and Filthy Tom Lawlor battles Jordan Young in a light heavyweight bout on ESPN+. Very cool event. Filthy Tom Lawlor, MMA fighter, MLW pro wrestler. He wears several hats and does them well. Thank you so much, Tom. Hey, what can we expect on Thursday for this big event, PFL MMA 5?
My goal is to throw down and knock this dude's head clear off his shoulders. So I don't know if that's what you're going to get, but that's my plan, damn it.
Hey, Tom, you got anything special for the weigh-in?
This is it's kind of a tough situation to get a really good weigh-in going, especially with the whole pandemic. I'll just say that it's probably going to be the weirdest one that I've ever done.
People look forward to this. You make it so cool for everybody. Is that part of your pro wrestling DNA coming out for part of the weigh-ins?
Well, I mean, yeah, it is, but I don't think that it's like directly tied to that. I'd be doing it regardless. You know what I mean? Like if I was, on working the conveyor belt in the warehouse, I'd probably be showing up with a smoke machine, blasting some music, and making a scene out of that too. So, sure, it falls back to the pro wrestling entrances, I guess, but who doesn't love a good entrance, right? Like, nobody went like, hey, Cosmo Kramer, are you a pro wrestler? Nah, he would just make an entrance, and everybody loved it. So, sure, there's a little bit of pro wrestling flavor in there, of course, but I'd be doing it regardless if I was a wrestler, an MMA fighter, if I was, flipping burgers somewhere, I'd be making an entrance regardless. The nightclub.
Good Seinfeld reference, by the way, and those entrances by Kramer were the best.
Maybe that's what I should have been doing the past few years. Maybe I should have barged in the clothes, had my hair all up, but unfortunately, I think I'm a little too jacked to do a Kramer impression, and I'm not nearly as tall as he is, and my hair doesn't look nearly as good as his, I'll be honest.
Hey, Tom, this is just so cool with MMA. What do you like about PFL MMA? And this is such a unique format with the regular season and playoffs.
Yeah, it's different than any other company that I've been involved in, any other mixed martial arts event. It's a tournament format, but it's more like a season and then some playoff rounds, I guess, rather than a tournament. But it lends itself to some interesting, I guess, game planning, especially here in the second round. I'm coming in with 0 points. There's two guys that have 6 points already. There's a guy with 5. There's a couple people with 3. So I'm kind of in a position where I need to get a finish. I absolutely need to get a finish. A first round finish would be great. A second round finish would be almost as good. And a third round finish would be not quite what I want. So it's kind of a different situation. I'm used to just going in and trying to win the fight to advance my career, but this is, it's different. I need to win the fight in a specific way in order to move on. So I kind of have two different game plans. I have a game plan for the first round, and then I have a game plan for the rest of the fight if it keeps going.
What do you know about Jordan Young?
Well, I know he's from Florida, or at least that's where he trains. He's 6'4", so he's a pretty big dude. This is probably, I'm the smallest guy in this weight class at 205. I fought at 205 and 185, but I could probably make 185 tomorrow if I really had to. It would be tough, but I could do it. But he's, one of the bigger guys in the weight class. He's definitely the tallest guy in the weight, so it's the closest thing in my mind that we can get to a freak show fight here in this division. He's, got a really good submission game off of his back, really good with the triangle choke. I'm expecting him to try to kind of keep me away, keep me at bay, and then, when I get inside, I'm expecting him to kind of try to push the ground action. So I'm expecting him to also have a really good grip. That's one of the things I've noticed from his work on the ground is that he has a kind of a knack for getting that triangle, and a lot of times, that's based off of controlling the arms. So, there's a lot of stuff I need to watch out for. He's younger than me. He's bigger than me. He's more athletic than me. Arguably, he's better looking than me. But, I'm going out there to win. I'm not trying to be the B side of this fight,
And it's not a beauty contest anyway, Tom. You can go out there and destroy him.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I was 26, I used to look like a strapping young lad. But now I'm 38 years old. My face is wearing the extra 12 years. So luckily, like I said, it's not a beauty contest. With a nickname like Filthy, I don't think I'd be winning very many of them anyways. But.
Hey, Tom, where do you call training home? Where do you train for these fights?
Las Vegas, Nevada. I moved out to Las Vegas in 2015. I train at Syndicate MMA in Las Vegas, and that's been my home for a few years.
Did your MLW teammate, Dan Lambert, try to get you down to American Top Team?
Well, no, because that's where Jordan Young's from.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Jordan's from there. Antonio Carlos Jr.'s from there.
Yeah, I know. I think, well, Dan and King Mo and I had an agreement in MLW, but I think that has been thrown by the wayside here because they apparently put a hit out on me. I didn't know that King Mo and Dan were scouting me over the past year or so in MLW, but it appears that has been the case. So, I'm going to keep my distance from those guys until all this is said and done.
Yeah, see, insider information. He was going to have King Mo and Dan Lambert, because that was going to be the lead-up question, which you answered, was going to be, hey, could you get any inside tips for them? No. They're sticking with their ATT guys. They're focusing with them. They're not siding with you.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, they may have been, I don't know, maybe they've been poisoning my water backstage over the past year. Maybe they were slipping some X-Lax into my food. I have no clue, but I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at the records and I'm gonna wonder if these guys were planning something nefarious the whole time.
Hey, Tom, what has it been like working with Major League Wrestling as well, and that company? And that's a little bit different style too compared to other pro wrestling out there.
Yeah, it's a great fit for me. MLW kind of fancies itself as a combat sports promotion. Like you mentioned, King Mo, obviously a decorated MMA fighter, former world champion. He was a phenomenal amateur wrestler. We have jiu-jitsu competitors. We have traditional pro wrestlers. There's lucha libre fighters. MLW kind of runs the whole gamut. Ray Flores, one of the announcers, is a big-time boxing announcer. It kind of covers all the bases, I would say, MLW does when it comes to what most people view as like traditional pro wrestling. There's a definite MMA flavor. There's rankings, and that kind of fits my style and my mindset a lot more than what most people, I think, view as like sports entertainment wrestling.
I've seen you in both MMA and pro wrestling, but obviously you'd have a better handle on this question than me. Is there a different Tom Lawlor in MMA and a different Tom Lawlor in pro wrestling?
I don't think so. I'm pretty much who I am, and I've been that way for, 18 years I've been fighting. And, I kind of always fancied myself as a more of a showman, I guess, or at least more so of a showman than most MMA fighters. And that kind of carries over into pro wrestling, although it's a little bit more accepted, I guess, in that realm. But what you see out of me is who I am, for good or bad. And I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'd like to think I'm pretty genuine when it comes to dealing with people, and that goes the same whether it's in MMA, whether it's mixed martial arts, whether it's pro wrestling, MMA, whether I'm just grabbing some tacos you're going to get the same guy. I'm not somebody who's trying to ruin anybody's time. Sure, I'm trying to win matches and I'm trying to, win competitions, but I'm in it for a good time, and I think people have come to know that over the course of the last 15 or so years.
I think something very interesting, Tom, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dan the Beast Severin, Ken Shamrock, crossover stars, MMA and pro wrestling. I think you helped continue that tradition into now what has become really accepted with your Ronda Rouseys, Brock Lesnar's, Bobby Lashley's, doing both.
Yeah, one of my biggest influences was obviously Pride Fighting Championships. When I was kind of getting into professional MMA and also pro wrestling around like the early 2000s, the best company in the world was Pride. And what that was a shoot professional wrestling company. So we had people crossing the lines, blurring the lines. You had Kazuyuki Fujita fighting there, who's also the New Japan Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion at one point. Bob Dapp was also, the New Japan Pro Wrestling champion at some point. We had, various pro wrestlers fighting in Pride. And to me, I kind of thought that was the pinnacle of combat sports, to be able to do, both worked fights and non-predetermined, shoot fights. I thought that was just the coolest thing that I'd ever seen. And like you mentioned earlier, the style of pro wrestling that I kind of work in and I enjoy is a lot of it's based in, real fighting techniques, kicking, punching, throwing, submissions, and I think I just think that that's the best style of professional wrestling, and I guess I'm proud to be continuing on, I guess, in that realm. But there were guys well before Ken Shamrock and Dan Severin. I mean, the lines have been mixed and blurred ever since the inception of pro wrestling and MMA. So I kind of just look at it. I mean, like, you could go back all the way to George Hackenschmidt.
Wow.
You could go back to the Great Gama. You could talk about Kimura, the Gracies. There was guys doing worked and real fights throughout the world for hundreds of years, if not more than that. And I'm just another one of those people.
Yeah, you mentioned Hackenschmidt. You're going way back too, like to the Carnival Circus days when pro wrestling, and it become, I guess, the term used as shoot style, and then New Japan Pro Wrestling, which you brought up, the Japanese style, it's so different over there as far as, and fans really get into it a different way. It's more of a sport, they're clapping, respect, when you're talking the fan base, more so than the shouting and screaming like you have here in the States. Such a different type of beast, but it does, that type of wrestling does lend itself more to the sport than the entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the benefits for me over the past year with the pandemic is that most of the wrestling events have not had fans there. And when there's fans there, I think people are more likely to do crazy stuff to get a reaction out of them. You kind of cater to what the audience wants or is going to react to. And, I don't know that that's necessarily always making the best matches. I like my pro wrestling, I like my fighting based in reality, grounded in reality. And over the past year, without the fans there, the best professional wrestling style, at least to watch, is one that involves two guys both trying to win. Not doing flips and crazy things for a reaction from the crowd. So being able to wrestle without the crowd the past year, I think has really, improved my game. And I'll only be better once I get back in front of them. But yeah, it's like two sides of the same coin. In one way, you want to keep the fans happy, but at the same time, I'm somewhat of a purist. So, for me, I think the most entertaining thing you can do is draw the fans in, like a like a Broadway play without the pomp and circumstance. It's based around the storyline, the action in the ring, and it might be a little bit harder sometimes to get the crowd to come along with you, but when they do, it's one of the best feelings you can have.
Some of my faves are watching you fight, whether it's MMA or pro wrestling. Also, the entertainment from the weigh-ins, or whether you're entertaining on Filthy Island. And I'm asking, what's better, Filthy Island or Fight Island?
Oh, come on. I mean, there's no question about that. Look at the accommodations that we had on Filthy Island. I mean, the UFC was at Fight Island in, like, Abu Dhabi. I mean, come on. That place, they don't have nearly the budget that we had on Filthy Island. They may have 5-star accommodations on Fight Island, but we were at, like, 69 stars on Filthy Island. So, yeah, there's no question which one's better.
Then might we see another Filthy Island event?
Well, like I said, I mean, one of the big issues is the accommodations were so great and the event was so awesome that I don't know how you could follow it up. The only downside, I guess, was that the Von Erichs and low-key were the one standing at the end. So I guess we could try to rectify that. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know if you'll see another Filthy Island. It's tough to get all the pieces into place. It's tougher being a promoter than you think it is. But I've at least got that a site picked out on Filthy Island for me to retire to. So if nothing else, I'll be going there.
And when that time does come, whenever it is, are you interested in coaching, training others in MMA, coaching, training others in pro wrestling, or putting on your own shows such as Filthy Island?
I'm kind of the person that likes to take things one thing at a time. I like to look at what's directly in front of me, and I still, see myself competing for a good portion of time. I'm not looking to step into the background and be a coach or just be a supporting act. I think Filthy Tom Lawler's got a lot left in the tank, and I'm going to run that tank dry.
Looking forward right away, it's Thursday night, PFL MMA 5 against Jordan Young of American Top Team in South Florida. Big event, round 2. We're hoping you make it to the playoffs. If you make it to the playoffs, when you make it to the playoffs, it'll be here in South Florida at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino near Miami. What are your thoughts, Tom, of that event coming down here? I know that MLW does a lot of tapings in Central Florida, so not too far.
Yeah, not too far. I was a resident of the Central Florida area. I'm a graduate of the University of Central Florida, so I'm no foreigner to that area. But I've also had some good times down in South Florida. I was lucky to be in the corner of Seth Petrozelli when he famously knocked out Kimbo Slice in South Florida. So my plan is to make these playoffs and get back to South Florida and kind of continue on that legacy, I guess, that he started years and years ago, and have a big-time win and a big-time party night in South Florida. We actually went to the Hard Rock after that fight to party, so.
It all ties together. You just got to be careful now because what's going on with Dan Lambert and King Mo, which you mentioned before. If it does come down to South Florida, they're going to have home field advantage. You got to watch out whoever's fighting in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got so many guys. I'm always watching my back now that you mention it because, I mean, ATT is clearly, it's one of the top teams in the world. And, I mean, they have just a nonstop amount of great fighters that are coming up through the ranks. So, Antonio Carlos Jr. fought him last time. This time it's going to be Jordan Young. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Maybe everybody in the next PFL seasons will be from there. Who knows, So I've got to watch my back with those guys around at all times.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Tom. I know you are very prepared, and you've been doing this for a while. You know what you're doing. But were there any concern or thoughts that Jordan Young may bring King Mo and or Dan Lambert for some psych job on Thursday?
For all I know, I mean, King Mo may be showing up on Thursday. He may be the one in Jordan Young's corner. I didn't see him at the last event, but Jordan Young got 3 points and didn't fight at the last show, so maybe that's why I didn't see him. If I see a crown in that corner, King Mo better watch out, because I'll snatch it off his head if I get the chance.
The new king, yes, King Filthy, yes. Hey, I want to wrap this up, and thank you so much, Tom. And I want to ask, too, because I did mention Filthy Island. Hey, how did Dan Lambert do on commentary for you all on Filthy Island?
He seemed like he was a little, I guess the term would be nonplussed by what he saw. But, you know, I just think he was looking at it through the wrong set of eyes. His commentary was great when it came to calling the action. You know, and I'd like to work on the desk with Dan again in the future. I think I could show him a few things on that side of the commentary booth.
Well, you know, it's been on TV, so I'm not saying anything here that no one will know, per se. Recently it was on TV. He has an extensive championship belt collection, pro wrestling. Have you ever been over and seen his collection of championship belts?
No, but I did catch the clips of that room that he has, and let me just say, he's lucky I don't know his address. Because I may have set up a bed in that room. I may have been sleeping in there.
Filthy Tom Lawlor, I want to thank you so much. Is there anything closing-wise about PFL, about the fight coming up? We're going to see it on ESPN TV platforms, social media platforms, streaming platforms, their network, being a part of that. So it's a big deal. PFL's a big deal, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you people that don't know, I mean, the winner of each weight class gets $1 million at the end of it. You know, I just want to say, like, if, you know, unfortunately, if I don't make these playoffs, you may not see me back in that cage. I've told multiple people, I don't know if I'm setting myself up to retire sooner than later, but I may just not take a fight for a while. So my goal is I kind of look at this as like do or die for my career. My goal is to get that 6 points, be fighting in August, and if that's not the case, then it's been a fun one.
Well, whatever you decide, everyone will wish you all the best with that. And you'll continue with MLW. You have been feuding with the Von Erichs. There's champion Jacob Fatu. Hammerstone, incredible talent. What a roster there. You're part of it. Low Key, I mentioned Low Key. He's incredible. He comes from that combat sport type spirit as well. I like Low Key a lot. So we'll be able to continue seeing you in MLW.
Yeah, I'll be, like I said, I mean, I've got plenty of years left competing, whether it's in the cage or in the professional wrestling ring. And, you know, you're going to see me around. It just may not be inside the decagon, you know. It may be inside the squared circle. It may be at the booth, but I'm not going anywhere when it comes to mixed martial arts or MMA. I'm still going to be around. This has been my life for, whether I like it or not, for the better part of 38 years at this point. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I really have no other discernible job skills, so I'm pretty much stuck in here. So you'll see me around.
Well, we're glad you're stuck in it. And I know we're going to wrap this up, and I appreciate the extra time, a few minutes here. The Von Erichs, I have to mention this. The Von Erichs, wrestling legacy family, and you got to work with two of the sons of the great Von Erich family. What was it like? What has it been like working with them in MLW?
I mean, to be honest, it's just like working with anybody else. You know, you're talking about the Von Erich legacy. Well, I didn't get in this to be part of the Von Erich legacy. You know, I got in this to make my own. So, yeah, it's cool to, I guess, to know Ross and Marshall and fight against them and to have met Kevin. But, I mean, don't get it twisted. I'm in this for Filthy Tom.
Well said, well said. Thank you so much, Filthy Tom Lawlor. Go get him, PFL MMA 5.
Thank you.